Sometimes the most profound lessons come from the most ordinary places. This is a story that started with a simple trip to buy a used car. But what it uncovered is this incredible lesson about the future of business, especially now, in our automated world. It's really a tale of two dealerships. But the real star of the show, well, he shows us what it really means to be human in the age of AI.
So you've got this one car hunt, right? But it leads to two totally different experiences. On one hand, you have a dealership that was just a total shutdown, no hospitality whatsoever. And on the other, an amazing, amazing difference. I mean, you couldn't make this up. And that contrast, that's really the core of what we're going to talk about.
Okay, so let's dive into this tale of two dealerships. First up, we've got the local Honda dealer. The plan seemed simple enough, But the actual interaction? Oh man, it was a whole different story. This is like a textbook case of how you can lose a customer in, the first 5 minutes.
So here's what happened. They go in, they present an idea to the sales manager that could bring the dealership more business. And what does he say? If we were going to do it, we would do it ourselves. Wow. Talk about a closed mindset, right? There's no curiosity, no sense of possibility, just a hard no. It's so transactional, almost robotic, And it just kills the conversation right then and there.
And yeah, that was pretty much it. Conversation over. Done. It was like talking to a brick wall. There was absolutely no feeling of being welcome, zero hospitality. So what do? You leave. You take your business somewhere else. It's such a powerful reminder that it's not just about the car you're selling, it's always, always about the people.
All right, so let's shift gears. Now we're headed over to this second dealership, AutoNation. And I mean it when I say the experience was night and day. This is where you see a totally different philosophy at play, one that completely transformed the whole process. It wasn't about the transaction, it was all about the connection.
And that really gets us to the heart of it all, hospitality. And listen, this isn't just about good customer service. It's so much more. It's the art of making people feel genuinely welcomed, making them feel valued, and creating a real personal connection. That's something an algorithm can try to fake, sure, but it's really, really hard to truly replicate that human touch.
So how did AutoNation pull this off? Well, it actually started before they even got there. There was this really engaged, super helpful associate online. Then, when they actually pulled into the lot, the car they wanted to see was already there, pulled up front, waiting, with their name on a sign. They got this warm greeting the second they arrived, and right away, they felt like their time mattered. It's these little things, right? They make a massive difference.
And this is where the story takes a really interesting turn. The guy they were supposed to meet, his name was Raj, was busy with another customer. But instead of just passing them off to some random person, he says this. He says, "I'm going to introduce you to my best friend in the dealership." Think about that. That's not a handoff. That's a warm, personal introduction. It just completely set the stage for what came next.
So who is this best friend? Well, he turns out to be the real hero of this whole story. And you might be picturing some seasoned, veteran salesperson, but nope. It's a 20-year-old whose personal journey teaches us this incredibly important lesson about what it really takes to make it today.
Yeah, you heard that right, 20. His name is Malachi Hutz, and he was just 20 years old. I mean, at an age where most of us are still figuring things out, he was already showing this level of drive that you just don't see every day. And his age is a huge part of what makes his story so incredible.
So you got to be wondering, how did he even get this job? Get this, it all started with a podcast. He listened to a podcast about car sales, got fired up, and then he just took massive action. He literally started walking up and down Auto Row in San Jose, just going into dealerships and asking for a chance, and he got rejected over and over and over again. But he didn't give up. He kept at it until finally one place, AutoNation Volvo, saw something in his attitude and gave him a shot.
And what was his pitch? It was so simple, so honest, but so powerful. He said, "I don't know anything about cars, but I'm ready to learn, I have energy, and I'd love to work here." He didn't fake it, he didn't pretend to be an expert. He sold them on the one thing he knew he had, an amazing attitude, tons of energy, and this real hunger to learn. He sold them on his human potential.
And once he got that yes, his commitment was just next level. To do this job, he started commuting from Oakland all the way to San Jose, a commute that could take 2.5 hours each way. We're talking up to 5 hours a day stuck in traffic just for the chance to learn and prove himself. That is pure, unadulterated dedication.
So you might be thinking, okay, cool story about a car salesman, but what does this have to do with the age of AI? The answer is everything.
Malachi's story is this perfect, powerful reminder of the skills that are uniquely, and I mean essentially, human.
Just think about the skills we're talking about here. Initiative. He just went out and did it. Perseverance. He didn't quit after a dozen no's. A positive attitude. An eagerness to learn. And that ability to make a real, personal connection. You can't code that. You can't program that into a machine. These are our human superpowers.
You know, there's so much fear out there about being replaced by AI, but Malachi's story, it points to a totally different future. It shows that when we lean into the skills that are uniquely human, things like our grit, our empathy, our ability to connect with each other, we don't just stay relevant, we become absolutely indispensable. And it's also just a great reminder, isn't it, that sometimes the simplest things can spark the biggest changes. For Malachi, the thing that kicked this whole journey off was just listening to a podcast. It just goes to show you, inspiration can be anywhere, but it's acting on that inspiration that really changes the entire trajectory of your life.
So I want to leave you with this question to think about. In a world that's becoming more and more filled with AI and algorithms, what is your most human advantage? Because if Malachi's story teaches us anything, it's that that's where your real, irreplaceable value is hiding.